The office floor was nearly empty when the CEO stepped out of the elevator late that night. The lights were dimmed to energy-saving mode, the city glowing faintly through the glass walls, and the silence felt heavier than it ever did during business hours. Nathan Cole, CEO of one of the fastest-growing firms in the city, had stayed late again. Another crisis, another decision that affected thousands of lives. He loosened his tie as he walked, already mentally preparing for another sleepless night. Near the end of the hallway, a cleaner was mopping the floor slowly, methodically, as if each stroke required careful thought. He was a man in his early 30s, shoulders tense, movements guarded. Nathan would have passed without a second glance. He usually did, if the man hadn't flinched slightly when the mop handle slipped and bumped against his arm. The sleeve of his uniform slid up just enough to reveal dark bruises along his forearm. Old ones, new ones. Nathan stopped. "Are you all right?" he asked, almost without thinking. The cleaner froze. He quickly pulled his sleeve down and lowered his head. "Yes, sir. Just clumsy," he said, voice calm but rehearsed. Nathan studied him more closely now. There was a faint cut near his eyebrow, poorly hidden. A stiffness in the way he stood, like someone used to bracing for impact. Nathan had seen this before, not in boardrooms, but years ago in his childhood home, when his own father would come back from work angry, and the walls seemed to shrink. The memory hit harder than he expected. "What's your name?" Nathan asked. "Daniel," the man replied quietly. Nathan nodded. "Daniel, those bruises don't look like clumsiness." Daniel's jaw tightened. For a moment it looked like he might deny it again. Then he shook his head slightly. "I need this job," he said, barely audible. "That's all I can say." Nathan felt something shift in his chest and unease. That had nothing to do with quarterly reports. "You don't have to say anything you don't want to," he said. "But no one should be afraid at work or at home." Daniel laughed once, humorless. "Home is where it happens," he said before he could stop himself. Silence stretched between them. The hum of the building filled the gap. Nathan glanced around the empty floor, then gestured toward his office. "Sit with me for a minute," he said. "Please." Daniel hesitated. People like him didn't get invited into glass offices overlooking the city. But something in Nathan's tone wasn't commanding. It was concerned. He followed Dot inside. Nathan offered him water and sat across from him, not behind the desk. "Do you have kids?" Nathan asked gently. Daniel's eyes softened despite himself. "A daughter, 5 years old." Nathan inhaled slowly. "Then I'm going to say this very clearly," he said. "Nothing, no job, no paycheck is worth her growing up thinking this is normal." Daniel's hands trembled. "I'm trying to get out," he said. "But it takes time, money, and if I lose this job..." His voice broke off. Nathan leaned forward. "You're not going to lose it." The next morning, the building buzzed with confusion. An emergency all-staff meeting was called, rare, sudden, unsettling. Employees gathered, whispering theories. When Nathan stepped onto the small stage in the atrium, his expression was unreadable. "I want to talk about something we don't like to talk about," he began. "Because it makes us uncomfortable. Because we tell ourselves it's none of our business." He paused, scanning the crowd. "Last night I noticed something I shouldn't have been able to ignore. And I realized something even harder, how easy it is for power to blind us to pain." People shifted. Managers exchanged glances. "This company will no longer treat safety as something that ends at the office door." Nathan continued. "Effective immediately, we are launching a confidential support program for employees facing domestic abuse, financial assistance, legal support, counseling, paid leave. No questions asked. No penalties." A ripple moved through the crowd. Shock. Disbelief. Nathan's gaze settled briefly on Daniel, standing near the back, eyes wide. "And let me be clear," Nathan said. "Anyone who thinks silence is acceptable in the face of harm does not belong here." HR executives looked stunned. This wasn't in any briefing. Over the following weeks, things changed. Quietly, but unmistakably. Employees who had been surviving in silence stepped forward. Support reached places that had never touched before. Daniel moved into a safe apartment with his daughter. He slept for the first time in years without flinching at sounds in the dark. One evening, as Daniel finished his shift, Nathan passed him in the hallway again. This time, Daniel stood straighter. The bruises were fading. "Thank you," Daniel said, "for seeing me." Nathan nodded. "I didn't do anything extraordinary," he replied. "I just chose not to look away." Months later, at a company award ceremony, Nathan shocked everyone again by calling Daniel onto the stage, not as a cleaner, but as the coordinator of the very support program that had changed dozens of lives. Leadership, Nathan said to the stunned crowd, isn't about titles. It's about what you do when you see suffering up close. Daniel looked out over the audience, thinking of his daughter's laughter echoing in their new home, of mornings without fear. The bruises had faded, but the moment someone truly saw them had changed everything. And long after the applause ended, people would remember that night not as a policy announcement, but as the moment compassion finally outranked convenience. And a simple act of noticing left an entire company in shock. Please like, share, and subscribe. Lover ASCII, we share stories the world need to feel again.